Welcome to Behind Them Sticks. This is your boy Ham Solo. I am with a very special guest today. His name is Jay Fonzerrelli. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing great. It's good to be here finally, man. We've been trying to get together and do this for over a month now. So I'm happy to be here. Let's get to it, man. This is awesome.
Yeah, man. I'm happy you're feeling better. Everything's going really well from what it looks like. Your shows have been coming out week after week, looking good.
Doing pretty good. The show's good. Games Talk Live. It's been fun so far. I've been able to interview so many different people in the community, and even some journalists like Jeff Grubb. He was on. I've had actors on the show as well. The Ghost of Tsushima actor Patrick Gallagher was on the show. That was awesome.
He dropped some bombs in that episode. I remember.
Man, I've been really fortunate, man. Really fortunate to come into contact with certain people, and then I get contacts from them. It's all about networking in this game, and that's what you're going to learn as you move along, man. You keep this up, and you're going to start networking with people and getting other people on. It's a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, man. I'm having a freaking blast as it is. I'm meeting a lot of really cool individuals. Whether they think the same as me or different, I'm just happy that they have their own voice and they're getting out there and
definitely
doing something for the most part positive for the gaming industry. And I'm here to bring those people to light and make them look good. All right, so I wanted to start out by asking you real quick, what gaming and social media platform can people find you on so they can either follow you, play with you, or whatever?
Well, I'm on the Xbox and the PlayStation. You can find my PSN and Xbox gamer tag as Fonzerrelli on both. And feel free to add me, follow me, do whatever, send me a message.
Reynolds is gone.
Burt Reynolds is still around. But that's not the one you want to contact me on, because Burt Reynolds, no. My kids sometimes play on that account. So I don't want people contacting my kids. But Fonzerrelli is the one I made for my, YouTube and all that. So everybody can follow me there. And so Fonzerrelli. That's how you spell it.
All right.
Double R's, double L's, and an I. So it's not too hard.
Yeah, gotcha. What you playing right now?
Right now, I'm playing Hellblade. I'm playing the first one because I quit on that when I started it because I didn't care for the combat. There's the puzzles I don't care for, but I want to get through it because the new one's coming out, and I just want to get through it so I know what's going on in the game when I jump into the second. I have to know. So I just finished another one in the backlog, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I put that one on the back burner, and I went back to it and beat it just the other day. Had fun with it. It was a good game. But Hellblade now.
Yeah, Hellblade, I wasn't really with all the puzzles either. They were kind of just I felt like they were just kind of drawn out too much.
Yeah, the sight and the visual puzzles, you're looking in this, out. I don't like them. I don't care for them. And I'm not a big puzzle gamer anyway. I don't like puzzles in games too much. Even with Tomb Raider puzzles and Uncharted puzzles, sometimes I'm like, eh. But those, at least, it's a really good action adventure game. I could get through it just so I can get to the next action sequence.
Yeah, you're just I just want to fight, damn it.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Well, here's kind of an interesting question.
Okay.
Jay Fonzerrelli, is that your real name? How'd you come with that? Come up with that last?
Okay,
or
so
not that last name, but that gamer tag and whatnot.
Well, Fonzerrelli, Jay is my real first name. That's my name. My last name has been put out there before by trolls who've doxed me before, honestly, on Twitter. But I try not to put it out there because, got kids, got, family stuff. But my last name stems from my real my gamer tag stems from my last name, and Fonzerrelli. It's a play on my last name. So I got it from work years ago when I first started at this job. I've been there now, going on 19 years. So I walked into the break room. One of my coworkers there said, "Hey, what's up, Fonzerrelli?" And it just stuck. It was just and it comes from a lot of people always go back to the Happy Days things with Fonz, with Arthur Fonzerrelli, but it actually comes from E40 Fonzerrelli. So that's where it comes from, because this guy listened to E40 and stuff, and he just used it on me, and it just stuck. So that's where it comes from.
That's really interesting, because I would have thought Happy Days too, bro.
Yep, a lot of people do, but that's where he got it from. And from the Bay Area too, so E40, you know.
Awesome, that's dope, man. Pretty neat to know. But so you've been gaming for quite some time. Back in the Green Moon Room, we were talking about you playing Atari as like your first system back in, I believe it was like 82?
1982 was the year I started. It was the year I can remember gaming, especially on a home console anyway. It was with the Atari 2600. Now, I may have played something in the arcades before that. I was only 7 years old, 8 years old at the time. So I may have played some arcades here and there before that, but I know it was PacMan on the Atari 2600 at home. That was the very first game I played. And ever since then, I was stuck on it, man. Stuck on gaming. PacMan was the one. Just got me addicted.
So PacMan was the culprit.
Yes,
for you getting
PacMan was the one.
Gaming.
Yes, and a little game called Adventure, where you were a square, a literal square, and you went through these dungeons, and you had to find your way out, and you came across a square dragon, and it was a fun game though. That rudimentary games back then. Now you go to fast forward to today and you see what we're playing now. It's so crazy having seen the evolution of gaming, like firsthand. It's insane. Like, and I take that for granted sometimes, and I hate that I do, because sometimes I'll say, "Oh, that game looks trash," and I'm like, "No, you really know what looked like trash back in the day. This is trash. This looks amazing compared to what you played when you were a kid." Just imagine being a little kid and you're getting to play all these games today. That's the kind of stuff that I think sometimes we take for granted. And man, it's a good time. Golden age of gaming, man.
Oh, absolutely. Because I literally played Forza yesterday, and then I hopped on to Need for Speed Underground 2 on my PlayStation 2. And I was like, oh, damn. I was like, I don't remember these frames being like this.
Yeah, what am I doing with my life, right?
Exactly. Why did I buy this? Even though the game is fantastic, man. I remember having so much fun playing that game, and I beat that game left to right back in the day, but I go back and look at it now, and I'm like squinting like a grandma at it.
Yeah. Like I said, back in the day, okay, so when it comes to racing games, I'm not a big fan of racing games, but I did play the hell out of Gran Turismo 2 on the PlayStation 2 back in the day.
Facts, me too. That game was amazing.
And I had the steering wheel and everything because I was all in, man. I was all into that. I drove my little Honda Civic and tuned it and did all that stuff. I felt like I was fast and furious back in the day. But now I just don't really care for racers. It's just whatever.
Did you ever get that super fast van in that game?
I don't remember. It's been so long, but I remember playing the hell out of that game. So I might have.
It was like a big gold van, and then they also had the Suzuki Pikes Peak that was like
I know that. Yeah, the Pikes Peak, yes, but the van, I don't remember.
Fair enough. Well, at least you remember that Pikes Peak, because that was like that 1,000 horsepower crazy car.
Yeah, there was a lot of cool cars in that game. And you know what? The difference between that game and like racers, well, with Forza especially, it's like you really had to earn those cars back then.
You did.
Now with Forza, you unlock them really quick. Like, you know, it doesn't seem like it's that fast. It wasn't that fast to earn cars back then.
Oh no, man! You had to do the license test to even do certain races.
Yep.
Yeah, man. You had to really tune your cars correctly in that game and oh man, yeah, that was wild. That was definitely a wild kind of game, and
it was a cool time though.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. It was a great experience. But at what point, like, so you said you love like Pac-Man and you had the dungeon game and whatnot, but
Adventure, yeah.
At what point did your love grow stronger with gaming? Because I mean, it keeps
Oh,
getting better throughout the times, but was there a lockdown moment where you kind of just purchased or like got a game from your parents and whatnot, and you just could not peel yourself away from it?
well, I was addicted through the NES, Super Nintendo, Genesis, 32X. I got all the Sega CD, the Sega Saturn, the N64, the PlayStation 1, the PlayStation 2, the 3DO. I bought the Panasonic 3DO. Worst decision of my life.
I was gonna say, big
I
bucks,
spent
man, big
700
bucks.
bucks. I spent 700 bucks on that thing. It was like one of the first big purchases I ever bought, and it was basically my fighting game machine because it played the fighting games beautifully. It was like arcade perfect. But outside of that, the games were like whack. They had like Gex and like those full motion video games, like Sewer Shark and stuff like that. So just some trash games. Like I didn't care for them. But so it was a big waste of money. But I loved it for Samurai Showdown. Played the hell out of that game. But I think where I really fell like really strongly about games, it was honestly, I mean, I felt strong forever about games. I felt strongly about them, but there was a time I fell out of gaming. It was I was going through a really dark time in my life, depression, all kinds of stuff going on, and I stopped gaming. I was like, I'm done. And I bought games for my kids and stuff, and they played games and stuff, but I didn't play, man. It was almost a year, and then the Xbox was coming out. And I didn't even really want it, but it was like an impulse purchase. I said, I'll buy it for my kids, whatever. And I got Halo with it, brought it home, stuck the game in the console and just, sitting there like, whatever, I'll try to play this game. And immediately I was like hooked. I was like, oh my God, this is just amazing. From the music to the, the gameplay, to the narrative, the setting, everything about Combat Evolved. It pulled me back into gaming, and it truly started to get me out of my depression. I started to want to have fun again. I wanted to play that game. I kept thinking about it. Beat that game. Then I jumped into other games. Elder Scrolls Morrowind was another one. I played so many hours of that game. So honestly, it was back with the Xbox, the original Xbox, when I felt the strongest about gaming.
Man, that's
Yeah.
awesome. I mean, for gaming to bring you out of a state of mind of just straight frustration and not wanting to really have fun or do anything.
Yep.
Yeah, man, that's amazing. I mean,
Yep.
beautiful story, man. Really like that.
Yeah. And
I mean, because I got an Xbox for a totally different reason, but to hear that it got you out of a funk in your life is moving. Way more moving than my reason.
Yeah, and I attribute Halo Combat Evolved to that, and that's why Halo Combat Evolved will always be in my top 5 favorite games of all time. Always. It because of that reason, it helped me. It saved me essentially, pretty much. Like I really was going down a bad road, and that was my saving grace, man, was to play that game and get pulled out of it. So
Chief grabbed you
it was
up,
crazy.
picked you up
Yeah.
off the ground.
That's why I'm so strong when it comes to Halo in with 343 and Halo 4 and 5. They weren't for me, and I really wanted something good, and Halo Infinite was a great game. So I'm glad that Halo is back for me. Halo Infinite is kind of like a spiritual successor to Combat Evolved, and it's like a reboot almost. I think it feels like that. So I think that 343, if they just keep on this path, I'm going to be happy.
I mean, I'm not going to like this for every single game,
Yeah.
but I do like that they announced Halo in the way of, hey, we got this game for the next 10 years.
Yeah, I don't care for that personally. I would rather them do standalone stuff, but
You think so?
I'm glad that the first one turned out okay. I'm glad it turned out really great, because what worries me is the story falling apart.
Fair enough.
You've got it. You've got this. I mean, if you look at most games that want to span over the course of several years, like Destiny or whatever, the narrative is not very good. There's some bits and pieces that are really good, but then like the basic narrative is not fleshed out. And especially in the first game, like with the Grimoire cards and everything, and you had to read that to get the story. Come on, I don't want to do that. Like, you got to do it within game, or else I'm not going to be there mentally for the narrative. So that I just don't care for games like that. You know, I'd rather standalone games and then, you know, come out with the next one and the next one. It sounds like they're kind of doing that with Halo though, because even though this one didn't have a complete ending, it did have an ending, and it is going to start off differently next time. You're going to go after somebody else. You know, it's not like, oh, cliffhanger, you didn't get to beat this guy. You know, you beat the guy that they said we were going to fight up against. So it's not a big deal.
See, when I hear 10 years, what I think of is like, they're gonna, instead of just dropping, you know, your basic DLC into a game, kind of like like Borderlands. I actually really enjoyed Borderlands a lot, and I really enjoyed the DLCs in that game. But I think that Halo is gonna do it a little bit different, to where it's gonna feel like a full game on each kind of DLC. What I'm thinking. And it's gonna take you in an appropriate direction. Now, like, I kind of see what you're saying with the narrative kind of going wherever, and that's what I'm hoping that they're not going to do by saying that, hey, we got this for 10 years. We already have an idea on where it's going in a timeline, and I hope they just stick to it and don't like buckle at all when they feel like, oh, Halo's not doing as good as we think it needs to be doing. Let's hurry up and throw something out there. Don't do that. Take your time. Make this thing the this generation's, you know, masterpiece.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, let's go on ahead and move on to the next thing. So you answered why gaming was pretty much important to you and how you kind of got into it. But now let's move over to the creation side of it. Like, what made you become a content creator? We heard how you kind of fell off of gaming and came back into it, but at what point were you like, you know, man, I'm having such a badass time playing these video games, I need to start like preaching?
Real quick, the why is gaming so important to you? I think nowadays it's really important to me because of this whole I love the outlet. I love being able to escape for a while. I love that feeling to where like I could just dive into a game, because as the older I've gotten, I've become more of a fan of story-based games, getting really into heavy narrative in the games. Of course, I like my gameplay. It's got to be good, but at the same time, I love a good story within a game. So it could be a little indie game with a great story, or it could be a big AAA with a good story. But I love that escape into a game and just sinking a lot of time into it and really getting into that whole narrative. That's why it's really important to me nowadays. Like, I love that because I work long hours. I like to just take a break, you know, sometimes get away.
I feel that completely. Thank you for tying that up.
Yeah, as far as you know, being drawn to content creation and stuff. Well, I've been doing this now. This is going on 7 years. I started way back. How I started YouTube, it was kind of a fluke type of thing. Back in the day, this was 2015. There was a little app called Meerkat. It was an app you had on your phone, and basically you could live stream, and you can go online through this app, and people would see you and hear you, and most people on there would tell like vlogs or tell stories or do certain things like play music over there, and I would just tell stories and stuff and talk on it, and people would show up, and I'd see that I'd have a couple hundred people watching and stuff, and I'd be like, whoa, this is crazy, like this is cool, you know. So long story short, that app was defunct. It went out of business, and Periscope took over because Twitter had bought it at the time. So Periscope like killed that app. And then once that was done, I was like looking for an outlet. I had met a lady on there on the Meerkat app where she did YouTube videos, but also this podcast on her YouTube. And she wanted me to co-host, and I did that for a little while, and we would interview like authors and stuff. Cool. I had fun with that. And I got a taste of it. And I said, you know what? I really like mixed martial arts. So I'm going to do a podcast on mixed martial arts. So me and my best friend started one, and we put it on YouTube as well as putting it out there on streaming platforms. And within a month's time, we got hit up by a management company, and they said, hey, would you mind, interviewing our up and coming fighters? Sure. No problem. It was awesome to us. We were excited. And so we started interviewing some of these fighters, and then they got to some bigger fighters and a couple of UFC fighters. And I was just like, oh man, this is crazy. This is cool. Then my best friend had to pull out of the podcast game because of his job and stuff. And I didn't want to go on my own, so I quit it. I said, man, I need to do something. So I jumped over to YouTube, and I started a channel where, don't make this mistake, people, if you're listening. I started a channel that did gaming stuff, politics, and social commentary. Yeah, they don't mix. None of that mixes. And if you want to kill your channel, you start mixing topics, because my channel was just a mess. And that channel was called Everything According to You at that time. And that's because I talked about everything, like all kinds of stuff. And if you want to see real trolls out there, real wackos, you start talking about politics. You get the real wackos out there. And so that channel, I had to squash it. After about a year or so, I squashed it, jumped over to another channel, made a channel strictly about gaming. But I did a lot of trollish stuff where, I would talk about other content creators and stuff, make fun of them in a lighthearted way, not really serious or anything. But I didn't care to do that anymore. I was like, you know what? I want to go straight gaming. So I made another channel. I made like 4 channels pretty much. And then I finally decided to make this last channel that I'm on now, Fonzerrelli Gaming. And I just said, you know what? I'm just going to do straight gaming. I'm going to do like funny little jokes and stuff here and there, but nothing serious. And not really talking about content creators and stuff, because that just goes down a bad road. So I was like, I'm just going to stick to this. And that's where I'm at now. So Fonzerrelli Gaming is the last one for sure.
Man, that was a hell of a story. You have a lot of background and
I do
different directions and whatnot.
In way different directions. Yeah. Cause I've always wanted to do like the podcast thing. Like once I got a taste of that, and I was like, man, I need to do this. So
this is kind of a bounce back to what we were kind of talking about just a moment ago with the whole, like, where'd you get your name from and why is it important to you and stuff like that. But so I feel like you may have answered this already, but what was like the most impactful console throughout your lifetime? Maybe we didn't touch
it. I would say the most impactful was the original Xbox. It's not my favorite console of all time, but it was the most impactful because it had a lot of impact on my life at the time. So I would go with the original Xbox. But my favorite console of all time will be the Dreamcast. Will always be the Dreamcast, because that thing was so ahead of its time. And when it dropped, I'm telling you, that console was just so much fun. It was crazy. Like, I couldn't believe that Sega like knocked it out the park with that console. And then a year later, they were gone. Like they were done. It was so sad, man. But I love that console.
Oh man, I tell you, not Everborn, Fonzerrelli. That
Everborn likes that console too, by the way.
I know
he does. He's a Sega guy.
That's why I had to slip that in there just a little bit.
Yeah.
I love that guy. That guy is super duper.
Yeah,
nice.
He's awesome.
And he loves his Sega, man. I remember he was on RDX with y'all, and y'all had to like corner him and say, "Stop talking about Sega," pretty much for a moment. Yeah. That was great. But that's pretty dope for that to be your most beloved console. I absolutely love that console. It's right there. You can see it.
It's awesome, man.
I had to rebuy it.
Even looking at it today, it still looks awesome.
It does.
Like,
it's a sexy little thing.
The small little footprint, the way it looks, the things it does, the broadband connection on the back of it, just everything about it was amazing to me. The VMUs. My God.
Man, you remember playing those little guys?
Yeah. No. Why I loved him is I would have him in my controller and I'd be playing Madden with my brother, and he wouldn't be able to see the plays I was picking.
That's true.
That's what the key was with those things. It was just ingenious.
They had a lot of different weird functions, and that was Sega in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Sega in a nutshell just had functionality after functionality out of functionality, but the problem is they just moved way too fast.
Well, and that was the fault of Sega of Japan that pushed Sega of America to do that. They butt heads a lot back then. That was the real story. Sega of Japan, they wanted the Sega of America to push the Saturn out. They just released a 32X over here stateside, and they were like, no, we're going to keep with the 32X. It's selling well. It's doing well. There's no reason to rush the Saturn. They made them rush it, and that was the start of the downfall for Sega. Was when they rushed the Saturn. The Saturn was a complete just failure over here. And I liked the Saturn. I actually bought it. I bought it from a pawn shop cheap, but I liked it, you know. It was a good console, but unfortunately, Sega rushed it, and they messed up, man.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. But now we're going to move over to a little game that I like to play each episode. I'm gonna mention the publisher or developer, and I want you to mention the first game that kind of comes to your mind. You can give an explanation if you want, or you can just quickly toss out the game. But the first one that I'm gonna come out and say is Activision.
Activision, Call of Duty.
Quick and easy.
That's because that's honestly, I hate Call of Duty so much, but I used to play the campaigns and dabble into the multiplayer bit, but I always got my ass handed to me in Call of Duty. So, yeah.
Next one I'd like to bring up is going to be Midway.
Midway. Wow. Oh, I can't remember.
Midway presents.
Yeah. Midway. Did they do? That's going back, man.
Yeah, dog.
They didn't do 1942, did they? Midway Games? I don't remember. God, I can't remember. Drawing a blank, man. These are, you got me on this.
I know they were really big with like NFL Blitz back in the day.
Oh, yeah, those games. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I remember those. But who did 1942?
That's a good question.
Who did 1942?
Look it up.
Yeah, 1942. Oh, that was Capcom. Yeah, that was Capcom. Yeah, dang. Yeah, that was going back to 1984, though. See, I went way back.
Yes, sir.
Midway was around in the 90s as well. You're right, because NFL Blitz was one of the games that they published, that they put out there in the arcades and on home consoles.
All right. So if we were going to think of a newer one, I want to bring out Insomniac.
Oh, Last of Us. It's because it's one of my favorite games. The first one. Second one can go into the trash bin somewhere. The first one I love. I think it's amazing. Story.
You're thinking of Naughty Dog.
Oh, who'd you say?
Insomniac.
Oh, Insomniac. Spider-Man, of course.
Spider-Man, of course.
Why did I say The Last of Us? Now I look dumb, but yeah, no. I drew a blank, but anyways, Insomniac, yeah, Spider-Man.
That's the fun of the game, because like I say something and you want to race and think and throw something out.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's the fun of it.
Yeah, but it's Spider-Man. I could have said Wolverine because I'm excited for that game, but yeah, it's definitely Spider-Man because I just played, well, not just, but a few months back, I played Miles Morales. Fantastic game, man. Like, it's a little short, but it was so much fun. To me, it was better than the Spider-Man game. I liked it better.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the move sets, everything that Miles does in it. It's just a lot more fun.
All right. Nintendo.
Oh, Super Mario.
Easy peasy.
Yeah,
EA,
Super Mario.
Electronic Arts.
Electronic Arts, that would be first game. See, I always think of Electronic Arts as publishing games like, uh oh, shoot. What do I want to say here? Drawing a blank, man. Electronic Arts. What game? See, I'm trying to think of games that I played back in the day.
One that I played was Road Rash.
Yeah, Road Rash, but what else was there?
Freaking love that game.
Damn. What else am I thinking about here? I totally. I am not good at these games. I'm just not. I drew a total blank. And I know they've got a ton of games. I know, like, oh, damn. Electronic Arts. I don't know, man. I can't answer this one at all. I'm just blank.
Okay. Let's go with Ubisoft.
Ubisoft, that would be Assassin's Creed.
Really quick.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey, to be specific. I think that's one of the best Assassin's Creed to come out in forever. Assassin's Creed 2 was good too. But yeah, Assassin's Creed Odyssey is probably my favorite one.
Xbox Game Studios.
Xbox Game Studios. Let's go with Gears. Let's go with Gears 5, because Gears 5 was a really decent game. Now you could even go with Psychonauts 2 to get more up to date.
I mean, they got over 20 now.
Yeah. I mean, it's still Microsoft Studios, even though they're Double Fine. But Psychonauts 2 is a great game. Really great game. I gave that game a lot of praise.
All right. And then the last one I'm going to bring up is going to be Bandai.
Oh, I'm so stupid. Now I'm thinking of EA again. John Madden games.
Oh, of course.
I played a lot of John Madden games back in the day. See, I was trying to think of stuff that's very old, and then I drew a total blank. But yeah.
I got Madden 94 right there.
I played a ton of Madden back in the days.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Rest in peace to John Madden, by the way.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. Great. I mean, all around just worker around the NFL, commentating, coach. He's just dope dude.
Yeah.
Seemed to inspire a lot of people. But
you don't realize how these make you draw a blank sometimes when they just come at you. You start thinking about all kinds of things like, okay, what? And then I'm still thinking about The Last of Us, and I'm like, why'd you say that? It's Insomniac. That's not Naughty Dog, and it's whatever.
Yeah, man, no worries. That's kind of what that game is just kind of a brain twister.
Now I know how people feel when I do the trivia on them when they come on the show. That's how it feels right there.
Yes.
Oh man, you gotta take my own medicine, bro.
And what's even more funny about that is I got the trivia idea from you.
Yeah, what's funny? When I first started my show, that was on show number 1. A week and a half later, I saw that IGN did a trivia show. And I was like, oh, I wonder where they got that from. Not that they're watching me or anything, but I just thought it was a funny coincidence. I was like, wow, okay, you guys are doing trivia now. All right.
Oh, yeah. I've pulled some things from a couple different. I mean, I even got a little thing that I'm going to do later with you that I got from Colin Cowherd. Like, that is one of the fun things about content creation is you can just kind of,
of course,
just kind of dabble in whatever you kind of want.
course. And EA does everything under the sun, and I sit there and I couldn't even think. But yeah.
Yeah, man, it's all good. That's how those questions go, though. They make it unsettling in a way.
Yeah. I threw myself off with that Insomniac. God, I'm so dumb. But anyway.
All right. Well, what is one genre of gaming that you will not really ever see Jay Fonzerrelli playing?
Oh, strategy.
Oh man, that's like the
do
best.
Not do not do those strategy games where it's like even Halo Wars and all that. No thanks. Like I
no
just
RTS for Fonzerrelli.
No RTSs, and I'm not really good with roguelikes either. Like I played Hades, it was fun, but I got tired of that. Like
me too.
I just don't like dying and starting over. And then my son plays them all the time. He plays all these games, and I watch him, and you know, he keeps dying and starting over. Then he'll tell me he beat the game, but then he's like, I didn't really beat it though, because I got to beat it like so many more times. And I was like, what? So yeah, to get the true ending. And I'm like, I'm not with that, man.
No, man, I want to beat the game and
I just want to move on then. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm not with that either. I heard something about that with what is it called? The Yakuza games where you got to beat some of them like multiple times to get like the true ending. And I'm just like, that's not why I play video games though.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was a pretty popular answer. A lot of people say they don't really like RTS games. And I get it.
and I, you know, I'm on RDX and I have 2 panel members that love RTSs. Zocker and Dealer love them. So I'm just like, whatevs. But, you know, different strokes, man. We all like different things.
Yeah, it's a blue moon kind of thing for me. Like once I'm playing it, it's hard to take me off of it. But once I stop playing it, I don't know. It might be 6 months until I bust that game back open.
Yeah.
That's a good thing about Game Pass right there is I just get to try it. I ain't paying for it other than the 15 whatever a month. They can have that, you know.
Yeah,
I'll do that. But what's the best 3 games of your 2021 year?
Oh, Death's Door. That's my game of the year personally. I love Death's Door. Psychonauts 2 is another one that I loved, and Guardians of the Galaxy really shocked me, and that would be my 3rd. Yeah. And I put that right above Far Cry 6. I enjoyed the hell out of Far Cry 6, but it was just more Far Cry. Guardians was just unique in that it gave me some great witty banter. The narrative was cool. Like I felt like I was playing the movies, like a new Guardians movie. It was really legit, you know, and funny. Had a blast with that game. Combat wasn't too great for me. It was okay. It was fun enough, but it could have been better. But it's still up there. I rate it at least. I give it an 8 out of 10 for sure. And I like I said, man, there wasn't too many big games that came out this year that I was like really hyped on, except for Death's Door, Psychonauts 2, and then Guardians.
Yeah, man, Far Cry was up there too with me as well.
Far Cry was fun. Yeah, I loved
that ending though, man. I was pissed at that ending. I did not like it.
Yeah,
I did not like the way that story ended because I felt like I wasted a lot of time. In a way, I mean, I still felt like it was an unbelievable game. It's just once I hit that point at the very end, I was just like, God damn it, what was all this for?
Because you probably did what I did, and you did a lot of the side missions.
Oh, yes. I did every side mission all the way up to that point.
Bro, I did so many in that game. I didn't finish them all, but I did so many. I was just like, you know what? Finally got to the point where I was like, I got to finish this. Forget this. I'm going to get bored of this if I keep doing this.
Right.
So, that's one genre I will never tire of, though, is open world games. I love them. That's my favorite genre.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. I mean, especially being able to do the like airdrops and whatnot. I hated flying the plane in that game, but as soon as I jumped out of it, it felt great.
Yeah, but it's just, to me, like when I play an open world game, I hear a lot of people complain, like, you know, they get tired of them. I could jump from one open world game to the next and just love it. Like, give me an open world game. a
As
fun
long
one.
as they all
to
give me
play.
a little bit of a different taste of something
Yeah,
else.
yeah, definitely.
Like Red Dead Redemption 2 was just like that was mind blowing for me. I loved how that game was set up, but it was so much different than hopping into a GTA and then going from a GTA to a game that I really love, like Ark Survival Evolved, where that is as open world as you can get, pretty much. But yeah, I hear you 100% on those open world games. They're beautiful.
Yep. And Red Dead 2 is still one of the most impressive looking games out there, period. Because it's an open world game. It's just amazing looking.
All we want now is them 60 frames.
Yeah, that's what somebody told was. We were talking about this the other day, and somebody said, you know, what if Red Dead 2 comes out and Rockstar says, okay, 60 frames, but you got to buy it again?
Yeah.
Because you know they'll probably do that. And as much as I
that's a
love
Rockstar
game,
style.
as much as I love the game, I probably would do it because Red Dead 2 is one of my favorite games. So I'd probably do it. I love the Red Dead series. It's amazing.
Just the way they make you feel about the characters, and it's just like, man, I want to kill Dutch so bad right now, but like he's my boy at the same time.
But you know, you played the first game, I bet, right?
Yes.
So absolutely. You know, you already get him in the first game, so it's like, man. So you know all that's happening, but at the same time, you wanted Arthur to do it, you know?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, Marston's was dope, but I liked Arthur a lot.
I know, dude. I loved Marston's character. He was my favorite protagonist until I played Red Dead 2. And I told, like, me and Colt were talking for like 2 years about the game before it came out. We didn't know anything about the game, but we were sitting there speculating behind the scenes. We're like talking to each other daily going, hey, guess what's happening? Oh yeah, what's going on? And Colt would be like, look, I followed John Marston, the real actor, and he went totally silent on his Facebook. He's not talking to anybody. I think he's going to be in Red Dead 2. He went silent. And I was like, oh, really? And so we were speculating. We're like, yeah, he's going to be in Red Dead 2. Watch, he's going to be in Red Dead 2. And we were both like ecstatic when we heard that he was going to be part of it. We're like, we called it. And we didn't know that Arthur would take over as being the best protagonist, you know, for me at least. I thought nobody could touch John Marston. But once I played that game, I was like, man, Arthur Morgan, man, that actor that played him, his name escapes me now, but anyways, I hit him up on Twitter as soon as I beat the game. He didn't have a lot of followers yet. And I hit him up on Twitter and I sent him a message. I said, yeah, you played a great role, amazing game, loved it. And he wrote back and I was like, cool. Now he's got so many followers, you know, and like probably wouldn't even get back to me at this point, but damn, he played a good role.
Yeah, he did. Unbelievable. All right, so
Roger Clark, that's his name. Roger Clark.
Roger Clark, that's the man.
Yep.
That's the man, the myth, the legend.
Yep. And he's like from the UK or Irish or something. I don't know, no disrespect, but he's got an accent. So it's funny that he played a country, you know, guy. It was funny. But.
Yeah. There's so many people from overseas that can play a really good American accent.
Yeah, he did really good.
It's insane. Like that guy from the movie, I mean, not the movie, but the TV show Dexter. I always thought he was just a regular guy from America.
That's right.
But no, he's from overseas. He has the accent and everything. But in Dexter, you'd think he is just a regular dude because he sounds so smooth with his accent.
Roger Clark is actually Irish. Yeah. So just looked it up.
Intense, man. Intense that they can play that good in an American accent. Crazy. But moving on, do you happen to have a favorite studio?
Rockstar.
And I'm guessing Red Dead.
Because of Red Dead and Grand Theft Auto. I love Grand Theft Auto as well.
Which one do you think represents them the best?
Grand Theft Auto. I think, you know, for me personally, I like the Red Dead series better, but that Grand Theft Auto is Rockstar and Rockstar is Grand Theft Auto. Like that is like what people think of, and they're just synonymous with each other. The names Rockstar and Grand Theft Auto. It's always going to be that, man.
They slammed the gavel on open world, man. They slammed the
nobody
gavel.
Nobody could touch Rockstar in open world games. The attention to detail alone is mind blowing in a Rockstar game compared to any other, even older GTA games. The population in the world reacts so much more realistically than most games today. Like, you can go up to like people on the street in like GTA San Andreas, and they'll have conversations with each other, and you can sit there and listen to them, and it like makes sense. You do that in a game today, and it's like they're not talking to each other. It's not the same thing. Like,
they'll just stop and stare at you almost.
Or that too, or they won't say much at all. They'll say one little line and that's it. But like Rockstar knows what they're doing with open world. Yeah. That's why I love them. Yeah.
Even with some of their other games, like you said, like with Red Dead, and remember like Midnight Club, like Dub Edition, and stuff like that, when they had the car open world scene, that was really
and also
cool as well.
I respect them because a couple of years back, somebody tried to cancel Rockstar. And they like sent emails to Rockstar saying all kinds of stuff. They're going to get canceled. And Rockstar just basically told them to shut the F up, and just like they were going to do their thing. They weren't going to change. And I loved that about them. Like, keep doing your thing, man. You're doing, people should understand by now, video games are video games. This is not reality. So whatever happens in a game, it's a game, people. And just leave it at that. And I don't think they're doing anything so crazy or out of the ordinary that should draw any kind of cancel culture, reaction. Rockstar's always been that studio that, the Grand Theft Auto especially, they toe that line between, really messed up and just they're right there on the edge, man. And I like them for that. I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, man. Like quit trying to get popular by being a hater. That is one thing that I feel is so prevalent in just today. Like, people think that hate will get you cool and get you popular, but if anything, it kind of corner yourself by being a hater. And I like that you said that Rockstar kind of just told them just to kick rocks.
Man. They did, man. They did. And it was I read that and I was just laughing, man. And I sent it to a friend. I sent it to Solid Rev as well, because he's a big Rockstar fan. And he's all, good for them. This was a couple years back, but it was pretty cool.
Definitely. So what game are you most excited for this year? There's a lot of them.
So many to choose. Dude, I will tell you that the first game I'm excited for, because it's the first game to come up, is Horizon Forbidden West. I'm excited for that game. I thought the first one was, a great game. I wasn't really too cool on the narrative so much. It was kind of shaky for me. But the gameplay against the dinosaurs, the combat was fun. I love that combat. And then I'm excited for Stalker 2 after that. Stalker 2 is one of those games that just looks mind-blowing. And I love Metro Exodus. And this was part of the team that made Metro, but they broke off years ago and they did their own thing. And so it's going to be in that style, I'm sure, like a Metro style game. That's what it looks like. And I can't wait to play that. And in Unreal Engine 5, it'll be the first game to utilize that. I can't wait to see it on the Series X. It's going to look amazing.
That electricity was insane.
Oh, man. The guns look cool. Everything looked really good. But my most anticipated game, Starfield. Starfield. I don't care what people say about Bethesda or Bethesda.
We don't even know what it looks like exactly yet.
But I don't care about it. I don't care what it looks like at this point, because I know that in the end, I'm going to love the game, because there has not been one Bethesda single player game that I've played that I have not liked. I've liked even Fallout 4, which gets a lot of flack. I had a lot of fun with that game.
76, did you enjoy that one?
No, that's a multiplayer. I said single player games.
Okay, fair enough.
Fallout 76 was a cash grab, in my opinion. I think they just did that to try to get people to buy into, this open world multiplayer experience where we can sell you some microtransactions and things like that. I think they were just following that kind of trend. So but for me, I love the Fallout series. I love the Elder Scrolls series, and Starfield being a new IP. Man, I'm all for it.
Yeah, man, I'm really excited because I never really got too deep into like the Fallouts, and I kind of felt like I was kind of always missing out. And I was just like, man, like I wish there was something that I can have a fresh start with Bethesda on. And now there's Starfield, and I got my fresh in.
To
it's
be
a new caught IP. Up with everybody. We're all on the same train at this point, and we're heading to the same, destination. And like I said, with all the old Fallouts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 76, New Vegas, all that stuff, like I feel like I don't know what's going on when anybody's ever talking about that. But Starfield now, I will be able to be in those conversations and figure out what's going on.
It's definitely, I honestly think that this could be a game defining, a generation defining game. I think it could be, all their games, their single player games anyway, that they have poured a lot of time and effort into, have become those games every generation. They come out with a game and it's like, that's the game so many people play. We're talking Skyrim. Skyrim is just like a beast onto its own. Like that, the community for Skyrim is still huge, and they're modding that game to just crazy heights.
To oblivion.
It's insane. And I think that this is going to be another one for them.
How many systems has that game came onto?
Yeah, bro, it's probably on toasters now. That's how many.
Yeah, it's insane. But yeah, they said that this Starfield game is supposed to be like Skyrim in space.
Yeah.
So,
Todd Howard is pouring a lot of effort into this game, man. Like I'm telling you, the confidence and the swagger he's got about this game, it's got to be great, bro.
He's so proud.
And I tell people all the time that bring up Fallout 76. Look at how he acted around Fallout 76. It was very mechanical. He wasn't at ease. He didn't have that swagger. He's got it now. I'm telling you, it's going to be a big game. People are going to be so mad on that PlayStation side. I tell you that right now, because unfortunately, if they don't have an Xbox or a PC to play it, they're not going to be able to play it. It's a game you have to buy. You have to be a multi-console owner at this point. I tell people that all the time.
Absolutely.
Like,
what are you wasting your time yelling about another system for? Why don't you just pick it up and figure it out for yourself?
Exactly. And that's the thing, man. If you're one of those guys out there, a PlayStation guy, and you're going to be mad about this or whatever, go get an Xbox. Just do it. Like, who cares? Buy an S, damn it. But the game's going to be great.
Put your mind at ease, man. Put your mind at ease and just get it for yourself.
You don't understand. Like, when the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X dropped, I couldn't afford to buy both at the same time. Because I'm that guy. I'm an old guy, but I'll still stand out in line all night. I'll do it for a console, right? I did it for the Series X because I looked at both of them and I said, look, there's nothing really coming out that I want to play on the PS5 right away. So I can wait on that. So I stood out in line for the Series X, got my Series X. I was a first in line, got it, and was happy. A month later, I was already thinking, man, I want a PS5. Even though there was no games on it, but that's how my mind works. Like, I had to have it. I'm not a fanboy, so I'm sitting there going, I got to get one. So I tried every day, like every week. I'm on there looking for one.
Clicking them buttons all fast.
Finally, a few months later, like 3-4 months later, just one night at work, I heard Target was going to have them. And I was like looking up Target. And there was a video of somebody on YouTube live that was saying, okay, they're going to drop in Target now. They're going to drop soon. My sources tell me this. So I'm like waiting, refreshing, and I'm not seeing nothing. So I go over to Amazon and I start refreshing Amazon and it pops up. I said, what the, and I hit it and it was easy, smooth transaction. I got in, got out, got my console. And then I went over to that chat and I go, hey, they're at Amazon, and people rushed over to Amazon. But yeah, I was happy. I have to have the console, all the consoles, even the Switch. I don't play it, but I had to have it.
Same. I got two of them, one for me, one for my lady, and we both lightly play that Switch.
Yeah, I don't.
It's more like a traveling console than anything. But even traveling, I still got my Xbox with me everywhere. Yeah, not even physically, just on the phone, because I got the S20 Note, and I got one of those Moga controllers. So I play wherever, man. Yeah,
it's awesome that you can do that, because the on-screen controllers are really cool. Yeah, see, I got the flip phone.
Ooh, you got the big boy.
So I use that on the Xbox xCloud sometimes. It works great. It just depends on your internet, right? I mean, some places it's shoddy. Some places you can't do anything on it, but it's
something that was unpopular that a lot of people, I don't think they were doing before, but like I still even do it now. Sometimes I don't even use Game Pass to play the games on there. I just go to my actual Xbox profile
and remote play
and remote play my actual console, so I can play whatever game that I want. I don't have to play whatever's on Game Pass.
Yeah.
Like that's how I beat most of Immortal Phoenix Rising, was at work on break, just sitting there. That's cool.
Sure, you were on break. Yeah, sure. Wink, wink.
Yeah. Sometimes I wasn't on break, but I still I was getting after it, man. That game was fun.
Yeah.
Ubisoft was slapping out games at the beginning of the console generation.
Yeah, Ubisoft gets a lot of hate, and rightfully so. They deserve it here and there. But for the most part, I enjoy their games. I do. I'm a big Assassin's Creed fan, so I even played through Valhalla, enjoyed that. So, yeah.
Okay, so what is something, this is going to be kind of a dark turn, what is something that frustrates you within gaming at all?
Oh, we talked about it. Well, I touched on it just a little bit, and that was Bugthesta. Talking about bugs and just games that aren't ready for launch, I don't like that. It's very frustrating, especially when you pay money for it. Like when you're buying, a game for $60-$70 and you start it up and it needs a day one patch for something that fixes maybe something, but not everything. And you start to play the game and you have problems or you have crashes and they're telling you, oh, they're working on it. That is the most frustrating thing. I mean, could you imagine? Like, I didn't fall into this because I didn't buy the game, because I don't like roguelites, but Returnal was a mess when it dropped. People were having crashes left and right. And that's a game where if you turn it off, you have to start over. So people had to start the game over because of crashes. I'm sorry, but that is unacceptable. That is not right to do to people. What CDPR did with Cyberpunk 2077 to the folks that were playing on the PS4 or Xbox One, those games, that game was not playable on those consoles. It was unplayable.
Definitive Edition.
Grand Theft Auto is a mess. Get your games together. That is the most frustrating thing. It's like, yeah, we're out here paying all this money for your games. Just get it right, man. Get these games ready for launch. And I know that it's not necessarily the developers. It's the publishers mostly. They have to push it out because they've got their investors and stuff that they have to please. But I don't give a shit what it is. I don't care. I as a gamer, as a consumer, that's not my problem. Put out a package that works. That's all I care about.
Yeah, it'd be a whole different story if it was car manufacturers just sending out a ton of cars that just didn't work right. You know what I'm saying? I mentioned that in a chat. I was like, man, could you imagine if those were steering wheels on a vehicle?
We'll put it in later.
There'll be a patch for that in a few weeks. Yeah. Just drive it on back in.
Yeah.
And risk my life? Like, what the hell are you talking about?
Exactly.
But let's go the opposite direction, and let me ask you, what is like a dream come true to you within gaming?
Honestly, within gaming, Hmm. Probably what surrounds gaming. I do wish that the console warriors would just stop, just go away. Like it's dumb. It makes no sense because I see, there has been people in the community, like I haven't personally, or my good friends haven't personally been really affected by it, been hurt by it, but they have been affected to some degree. People do get personal and they do attack and they do certain things and say stupid things. And I just wish that whole mess would just go away. Like the console warring is just dumb to me. I laugh at some of the memes sometimes that are just generic and just, kind of make fun of a certain thing, whatever. But when it gets personal, it's too much. And I wish just that stuff would just go away. It's unnecessary for the gaming community.
Yeah, not just that, but towards like developers and stuff
That,
like
yeah,
that
that
too.
too.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah,
Some people will like try to dox people.
Yeah, that's the same type of stuff that they're doing even to community members. They're sending death threats to freaking developers or publishers, and it's just like, these are just people. Like, stop. Like, I don't know, man. It's crazy to me. I don't understand the mentality to actually go through with stuff like that. So I couldn't really pretend to, explain anything about that other than I just don't want it to happen anymore. And that'd be the one thing I would say. I wish that they would just, just stop.
And that mentality is, it's disgusting, especially to me when somebody can't be who they really want to be because they have so many followers in this direction that if they told you how they really felt about, the opposition or something like that, they lose everything. They lose their followers. They lose friends. And I'm just like, like y'all are grown. Y'all are grown people, and y'all worried about losing friends over liking some plastic.
That's the sad part is most of them are adults. Most of them are not too far away from my age. And I'm just like, wow, like you guys are really into this.
You already have a gang war over some plastic. I posted some positive stuff and I get hate on it. Like I sat out there and I said, hey, I bought my son a Series S. He's loving it. And then I got these hate comments. I'm just like, dude, do something positive with your life. Like, what are you doing coming to my thread that's positive and talking crap for who? Like, I don't care. Like, I'm just going to block you and move on. But yeah, if you think somebody else deserves better, then go ahead and pay for it for them.
Yeah, exactly. And the Series S is a great little console. I don't care what people say.
My cousin bought it. He loves it, man. And he had the 1S before that, and we were trying to play the Ascent. We were trying to play the Ascent together, and you already know where this is going. I got into the
you were already ready to go.
Well, my console is ready and loaded to go, but like since he's not ready to go, I'm stuck in the loading screen with him. And I'm not lying, that took like a minute and a half to like 2 minutes to load into the game. And he was like, all right, after we play this, I'm done with this. I gotta go get me a new console. And I was like, well, it's $500 for the X and good luck finding it, or you can just probably find an S somewhere quick. And he's like, dude, I don't even care about 4K. I just want to be going
better load times and better frames.
Yeah, that's
all my son cares about. Yeah, that's all my son cares about. He's loving it, man.
Yeah, he bought one the next day. Was not playing around, and he hopped on and immediately he was like, man, this is just, I don't know why I waited half a year to do this. And I was like, because you just didn't understand. I mean, for your average gamer that doesn't follow gaming like we do, like they're just thinking, I can wait on this, I can wait on this, I can wait on this, and everyone else is like saying, oh man, this is dope, but they don't really care to hear it until they actually get the sticks in their hands, and like they're like, oh snap, I just hit A and I'm in the game already. Sold. So super dope. Love that you got your got the kiddo Series S. really good present. But let's jump off of gaming for a second. We're down to our last few questions. I want to ask you, what do you enjoy outside of gaming?
I do. I haven't done it in a few months, but I like hiking. I like the outdoors. So hiking, camping, just being outdoors. I love nature. It's such the opposite from sitting in front of a TV playing games. And I like that. I like that break. And when I do that, I don't, do the phone thing or anything when I'm out in, nature and stuff. And I love doing that. I love taking long walks up the sides of mountains and enjoying the views. My favorite
calves start hurting.
Oh, dude, bro! I did a 20-mile hike up in Yosemite up what is it called? Half Dome. I did Half Dome with the cables and stuff. Climbed up there. Amazing hike. But I was dying when I got home. I couldn't walk for a couple of days. I was so hurt. My feet were so done.
I bet your calves felt like bricks.
Oh, man, mainly my shins and my feet, honestly, because a lot of people don't expect this, but when you walk uphill, yeah, it's tiring. But when you go downhill after you've done all that, it hurts, man, because you don't use some of those muscles all the time. Going downhill, your shins and stuff, you start to feel stuff in there that you didn't know you had.
You're constantly hitting the brakes, and it hurts.
It hurts. But I love it though. I have fun, man. I got a lot of videos and stuff of doing that. It's fun. I just love being out there.
Okay. Well, what is something that's pretty fun that nobody really knows about you?
Fun that nobody knows about me. That's fun. I tell people like everything, man. Like honestly, I'm one of those guys who just like tells stories about my life and like everything I've done. So I don't think there's anything that I haven't really told. I read this question earlier and I couldn't think of anything. Like I was sitting there going, what haven't I told? One story that I don't really tell often, it's not really fun though, but something that I don't tell people because I don't like how people may twist it and think that you're trying to stand on a soapbox or something. But there was one time, I know you've seen a lot of videos out there of people that help homeless people and stuff. And they take videos of it because they're like, look at me and that sort of thing. And I'm not that type of person, but I am very caring. So I will help people out, give them money, whatever. But there was one time years ago, and I haven't told this story in the community at all, but when I was younger, mid-20s, I was married, had a couple of kids at the time, did security at the time, and I would drive around checking up on guards at different sites, security guards on different sites. And there was one strip mall where there was these two homeless people. There were a couple, and they were young. She was 19, he was like 21, 22. And we'd always help them out, give them food or whatever. They would steal stuff from some of the stores, get kicked out, and we'd have to go there and 86 them basically. And but they'd still hang around because they lived under this overpass. And one night she was there, he wasn't, and he just left her there. And we were like, what's going on? She's like, she told me her whole story. She left her mom's house because she gave her an ultimatum. If she was going to stay with her boyfriend, she had to leave. So she chose the streets to stay with her boyfriend, but he ended up leaving her on the streets by herself. So she was 19 at the time. And I told her, I called it my wife and I said, hey, I told her the story. Immediately, my wife's like, just bring her home. So we took her home. She lived with us for about 3 months. She got into contact with her mom again, was able to move back home. And about a year after that, I got a letter in the mail thanking me, telling me that I saved her life, doing that. And that is probably one of the most important things I feel like I've ever done. And I still have that letter to this day. And sometimes it brings tears to my own eyes because I can't believe it was that impactful. But, I understand, like it's crazy, but yeah, like I do care about people. So like if I call you a friend or something, I'm gonna be a friend and I'm gonna reach out and say, hey, how you doing? That sort of stuff. But yeah, man, that's one story I don't talk about because I don't want people to look at me and go, he's just telling stories because he wants to look like, oh, he's a good guy. But no, that's something that really happened, and it was insane. Like the
That
whole
is
thing.
insane. That is something you got to be a really, really good person to invite
Well,
somebody you don't know.
yeah, I didn't really know. We knew her just dropping by, talking to her for a few minutes here and there, kicking her out of places, where she shouldn't be,
That's what I'm
stuff like
saying. Like
that.
you told this person, "Hey, stop
But
robbing
I
the
knew,
store," but then you told, "Hey, come on
yeah,
over
but I
and
could
stay at the
tell she
crib."
wasn't a drug addict. Uh, Her boyfriend, on the other hand, he was a little weird, but I could tell that she was a really good young person that needed guidance and help. And all we did was just like bring her in, comfort her, and tell her, to get in contact with her mom. She didn't want to do that for a while, but then she ended up doing it and going home. So that was amazing. Like, honestly, it was probably, like I said, one of the most impactful things I've ever done for somebody. And I just, I can't believe it to this day, but I'll break out that letter and I'll just be like, damn, I helped this person out. Like, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, you did that, man, and that's something very few people in the entire world would do.
Yeah. Maybe I was young and dumb, because I think like back on it, like, man, that's crazy. I didn't really know her. Why did you do that? But there was just something there that I had to, like, I just felt like I had to. So
Powerful.
that's what it is.
All right. Well, the last thing I'm gonna have you do for me before we go ahead and close the show is I'm gonna have you describe gaming for me in just 3 words.
Gaming in 3 words. I will say fascinating, because, well, games they give you that sense of wonder and interest. So I will say fascinating, and I will say evocative as well. And because they bring back a lot of memories for games and gaming in general. And then, of course, fun would be the last. So
Man,
evocative, fascinating, and fun.
Good words to describe it, man. You are very very nice person to sit here and speak with. I have to really thank you for
No, I
making
appreciate it,
time
man.
again, for coming on out here. I mean, like you said, last time didn't work out, but I'm happy that you still made some time for me on the side.
Of course, man. Of course. And you know what? Damn it! If it wasn't for that damn EA question that I just, or the Insomniac thing, that's what really started it. Damn.
Oh man,
Now people are going to watch back and go, he doesn't know any EA games. No, when I'm thinking Insomniac and I said Naughty Dog, man.
All right, well then my challenge to those people that checked out this episode, come on to the show and let's see how you do.
Yeah,
with these questions, because
exactly.
I'm not going to say the same. I'm not going to say the same developers or the same publishers. It doesn't go like that. It's not the.
And you
it's not
didn't.
the same test.
And you didn't send me questions like, "Hey, I'm going to say this, and this developer." I had no idea what you were going to say. So
yeah, that was the fun of it. But as I said before, thank you again. And if you guys enjoyed the show, please remember to like and subscribe to this channel. It would be something I'd really closely keep to my heart. I really appreciate everybody that checks out the show and follows. I work really hard to get this stuff out to everybody. But also I'll have all of Fonzerrelli stuff in the description below, so you'll be able to find him, whether it's through Twitter or YouTube, Game Talk Live. All that stuff will be in the description for you to check out. But Fonzerrelli, I'm gonna go on ahead and let you go, let you get back to your family and hang out and possibly play some games. But thanks again, everybody that checked this out. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Do it! Make your dreams come true! Just do it!